We've got our engine swapped Volkswagen Beetle, we've headed over to Mount Panorama, so it's time for us to do some reverse racing. Now the issue with driving reverse is that all cars become like Porsches, with the engine in the back. The only rational solution to that, of course, is to take a car where the engine's already in the back. They become more of a front-wheel drive car. We're running this race on beginner difficulty, and we've handicapped these 4 cars with sports tyres. And I think that's challenge enough. I'm not that much of a masochist. Or, at least not yet. Okay, we've already got a problem. The game has got us facing the wrong way. I mean, it's the right way, but not for us. So with the race underway, we have to quickly get this car turned around and ready to go. Even with that rapid switch to reverse, it still left us 12 seconds behind, with our opponents nothing but specks off in the distance, probably a bit confused about what happened to us. And if they're confused now, then they are going to be in an absolute state of shock when the backwards Beetle starts hitting speeds of greater than 200 kilometers per hour, beginning to close the distance on our rivals. But going fast on straights is one thing, traversing a mountain in reverse gear is quite the other, making control a tricky thing to handle. Heading through the cutting, we pulse the brakes, rotating the car around the tighter bend and then quickly following it up with the gas to cause understeer, regaining the car's composure and allowing us to power out of the exit. With this, we're well on our way to victory, and it's not long before we find our first target, the Veyron, straggling behind the rest of the pack. I can't imagine the thought going through his head as he checks the rearview mirror, only to see the giant spoiler of the physics-defying Beetle getting closer and closer as we progress through the track. The downhill section is fast approaching though, and that's going to shift all the way forward, so it's time to see if my tuning has successfully compensated for that, or if we're going to spin. Turns out it's the former, as the car remains firmly planted to the road, allowing us to not only survive, but really push to close the gap further for the long straight. And as we come around the hairpin towards Conrod Straight, this is where we're planning to make our move, planting the foot and hoping that our acceleration greatly outperforms his, allowing us to close the distance and take our first position. I must say, you're pleasantly surprising me, Beetle, as you make your move. But now we're in a lot of trouble. We have to pulse the brakes to lose that speed, hoping the Veyron doesn't slam into us from behind, ending our run. Okay, I believe we're safe, and also in a good position to make a move on the WRX. Out of my way, buddy, we're coming through. And with that, we have a podium spot. Okay, one straight to go before the hill, plenty of time to grab another position. And as soon as the engine hits its power band, the acceleration increases, allowing us to fly past the Mustang and into second place, with just the 86 to go. With the straight coming to an end, it's time to focus on closing the gap and staying as close as possible to the leader. That way, once the final straight section comes around, we'll be able to repeat the same move we pulled on the Veyron in the previous lap. With the distance closed, it is now possible for our drivers to lock eyes and stare each other down through the rear view mirrors. My eyes full of determination, while I have to imagine that his is some form of pure bewilderment as we fight for any advantage we can get before we hit those final straights. As we reach the top of the hill, we're still close behind the 86. He hasn't shaken us yet, and to be honest, in this section, he's not going to, as this is one of the easiest parts of the track, going on the fact that there's not significant braking to be done. And as we enter the downhill section, right on the tail of that 86, you may notice that we're pulsing the brakes a lot. This is because if you hold them down, the weight shifts too far forward, allowing the back to slide out. Now this car's controllable when you drift in reverse, surprisingly, but the issue is it picks a direction at random, so 50% of the time it ends poorly. But now we're back at Conrod Straight, so it's time to make use of our acceleration and yet again make an overtake, putting the 86 behind us and giving us that first place lead. Now we just gotta hold it to the end and hope that at no point does the 86 decide it wants to kill us. Flying around the corners towards the final stretch, the 86 is dropping further and further behind. It looks like we've got this one in the bag. And with one corner to go, we do it in style, entering the final straight and then crossing the line for that nice, comfortable win.